Welcome to this webinar about Primera's LX series color label printers. My name is Kelly Gedard. I'm a sales representative here, and later we'll be joined by Gary, our sales engineer. If you're not familiar with Primera technology, we've been producing professional quality label printers for over 45 years. Manufacturers and other small, medium, and large businesses use Primera printers to print labels that are high quality in short runs, saving them both time and money. Primera has a printer to fit almost every need, and today I'm going to walk you through our product line. If you have questions, please be sure to type them into the screen, and we'll tackle those at the end. Our LX series product line begins with our LX 500. This printer has the smallest footprint of any of our printers. It's a little bigger than a shoebox. It can print up to 1,000 average labels per day, but many customers who use this printer only print a few dozen. The average print speed is about 2.5 inches per second. Your label can be up to 4 inches wide. There are two versions of the LX 500. There's the basic version and the LX 500C. The LX 500C has a built-in cutter which separates your printed labels from the roll, or it can cut in between labels. If you choose the basic option, when your labels have finished printing, you can tear off the strip of labels using the built-in tear bar. The LX 500 is $1,225, and the LX 500C is just $100 more at $1,325. Let's watch it print. And you can see these were cut by the cutter. If you had just the basic version, you would tear it off. Next in our line is the LX 600. I recommend this printer for our customers who are printing up to 3,000 labels per day. It's a good step up from the LX 500 if you want a faster print speed or a lower cost per print. Another reason to go up to the LX 600 from the LX 500 is that the print width, which is up to 5 inches wide, compared to a max width of 4 inches wide on the LX 500. The LX 600 has a built-in cutter which does the same thing the cutter in the LX 500 does. It separates the printed labels from the roll. This printer is $1,795. Let's see how much faster it is than the LX 500. Go. Next is our LX 610 color label printer and digital die cutting printer. This printer is unique in the marketplace because it is the only printer in this price range that can print high quality labels as well as cut out their size and shape. It can print on pre-die cut material just like the LX 600 and the LX 500, where they're already cut into those shapes, or you can use the continuous material that is proprietary to Primera. If you have a need to print special shapes or a wide variety of sizes and shapes, then the LX 610 is a great option for you. You can create your label with a cut line in our PT Create software, You can then make sure the printer has a roll of continuous material in it and send the job to the printer. The basic software comes with the printer for free. This software allows you to create circles, squares, rectangles, ovals, and a few other shapes. If you want something more intricate than those shapes, you can purchase our PT Create Pro software for $149.99. The printer itself is $23.75. Gary, please show them how this works on the continuous material. That's the sound of the printer cutting. So these labels were printed and cut right into the material, and you can peel them up just like a sticker. Get on screen. Next, we'll move on to our bigger printers. The LX910 color label printer can print up to 5,000 labels per day. On average, it prints at a speed of 4.5 inches per second. This printer, like each of the printers we've seen before, uses a single CMY ink cartridge. This makes it easier to manage your ink inventory. You can set your large print job to work and not worry about swapping out ink cartridges all the time. Each time you change the ink cartridge in this printer and each of the previous printers, you get a new built-in print head. The LX910 can print as wide as 8 inches. It has a built-in cutter like the LX600 and the LX500. This printer is $2,575. Gary, let's see it print. Finally, we've arrived at the LX2000. This printer is the one to choose if you're printing lots of labels or if you want to get the lowest ink cost per print. The LX2000 is the only printer in our line that uses 4 separate ink cartridges. This means that if your labels are primarily blue, then you can only change out the cyan cartridge when it's empty and continue to use the other colors, magenta, yellow, and black, until they are empty. This printer can print up to 6 inches per second and has a built-in cutter like the LX910, LX600, and LX500. It can print up to 7,500 labels per day. The LX2000 is $3,595. Let's see it in action, Gary. Now that you've seen each of our 5 color label printers, you might be wondering how we tell these printers what to print. For each of the printers besides the LX610, the answer is a free software that's included with the purchase of our printers called Bartender Ultralight. Gary will show you a few things about this software.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen here with you. So you can see our Bartender software. And this software is very easy to use. We do that so that you can easily drop in an image, add text, position things where you want them to be, and most of it's just drag and drop. You can go through and set up a wide variety of shapes. You can set up a blank template, and select your printer that you want to use, specify the sizes, how many that you have, choose the shape that you want to use, define the size, and then if you wanted to select the picture, you can browse to the picture that you want to use. And there we have it. The label is ready to print. And it's as simple as printing to your regular office inkjet printer, just by going to File, Print, selecting the printer, and selecting the number of copies that you'd like to use. And that's pretty much it.
Thanks, Gary. Let's show a comparison of the label printers on screen.
Okay, just a second.
There we go. As you can tell from my descriptions of each product, as you go up our product line, the speed gets faster and the cost per print gets lower. All Primera printers can print up to 4800 DPI. This is a photo quality resolution level, so you can expect that your labels will help your products stand out. All of these printers can print on from our stock label lists and a variety of materials, or you can custom order labels through our custom label ordering tool that's right on our website. Your sales rep can help guide you to the right material for you. Now that you've got your beautiful labels, you need to apply them to your containers. Primera has 3 label applicators. 2 can apply labels to a cylindrical bottle or can or jar, and 1 can apply to flat containers like pouches or boxes. I'll do a quick demonstration on our AP362 label applicator, which can apply either a single label per container or both a front and back label to the single container. Here's an example of a beer bottle with a label on it. Simply take an empty beer bottle, put it in the applicator under the pressure arm, and then this is a foot pedal that will be under the table. You can easily keep your hands free while applying the label. Out, and then you can move right along to the next bottle and finish your production process. Each of the products shown here today are in stock and can ship the same day when ordered before 2 p.m. Central Time. Your purchase is guaranteed with a 30-day money-back promise. This allows you to bring the printer or applicator in-house to try with your system to make sure it's a good fit for your team. Let's see if we have any questions.
All right, let's take a look here. Okay, so Douglas asks, can your software queue up 3, 4, or 5 similar jobs in sequence, or do they need to be printed separately? So it does work as a regular Windows printer queue. So yes, you can queue up different numbers of labels in order, and it will print them as they are sent. And then Douglas also asks, what's the difference between dye or ink, and where are they used? I don't know, maybe it means the pigment.
Yeah, that's a good question. A couple of our printers can use different ink. You kind of have to talk about it by printer. So the LX600, the 610, and the LX910 all have the option of using either dye or pigment ink. Pigment's great for UV resistance. Otherwise, the basic dye ink that comes with the printers is fine for most needs. LX500 only uses dye ink, which is very vibrant. It's a very vibrant color, but there's no option for pigment. And the LX2000 uses a pigment ink, which makes all the labels very durable.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it does look like there is another question here. Does the label applicator work on aluminum cans?
Yes, aluminum, plastic, glass, any material, as long as it's not too flimsy, but even pretty flimsy material can be used in the applicator.
All right, it looks like Aaron has a question about serial number. Can you merge it with a CSV file? Yes, you can. There is a serial number function within Bartender. It might require a higher version than we sell. There is professional versions available. You can also print from other programs besides Bartender. So anything that you can currently merge a CSV file with, you can print from as well. And I might have to jump over to chat because it looks like there's some people over on the chat as well. It looks like someone else here has asked which would be better for moisture, dye or pigment?
That's a difficult question to answer. The main thing to think about when you're trying to make a water resistant label is to avoid paper. Paper is going to absorb the water and cause the ink to bleed. So any kind of synthetic material like BOP or polyester or vinyl is going to be the main thing to think about when you're trying to avoid running. Our tests have shown that the dye-based ink really holds up better in all the lower level printers. It's a different kind of ink in the LX2000. That ink, the pigment ink, actually ends up being more water resistant than the other options, than either dye or pigment in the lower printers. If you're looking for water resistance, a synthetic and the LX2000 are the way to go.
Brenda asks if we sell the ink directly and how much are they?
Yes, you can buy your ink cartridges right from our website. Any order over $100, it gets free ground shipping. And they're all a little bit different. The prices are on our website. If you want more of a cost per print, your sales rep can help you break that down.
Okay, and then Aaron asks if they can print from CorelDRAW. Yes, you should be able to, as long as you can format your page size, the size of the label that you're printing to. Jesse asks if the LX2000 is compatible with the versatile shape cutter. I'm not familiar with that.
No, there's no digital die cutter like we have in the LX610 for the 2000, but you could get a special shaped label. So you could get a die that's already cut into some kind of special shape like this and have it on a roll, and then the LX2000 can print it as long as it's within the specs of the machine. But it's not going to cut these shapes out like the LX610 does.
Okay, Cole asks if we ship to Canada.
We can currently, in early summer 2020, we can ship to Canada if we are shipping on your UPS or FedEx account. We're hoping to be able to ship internationally without that very soon.
And then are the printers only compatible with Primera ink?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to jump over. I think there's a few people in our chat window here. Let's see. Okay. So let's start at the top here. Cheryl had mentioned something that she had heard that some of our printers are not compatible with some software. The only time that I've ever heard of compatibility issues with software is usually an inability to print in a certain type of landscape versus portrait or something of that nature. Like I said earlier, generally as long as you can format the page size to the size of the label that you're printing to, as long as your software can do that, you should be able to print to it. Someone asked, how wide of a label can the LX2000 print?
It can print as wide as 8 inches and as long as 24 inches.
Okay. And is there a special feature for printing full bleed on labels? I can answer that one. You know, really, you can incorporate a bleed within the software simply just by making the label slightly larger than your label. So if you have a 3x4, maybe you make it 3.05 by 4.05. So it's just slightly larger, and that will allow you to obtain that full bleed that you're looking for. Someone also asked, does Bartender work with all your printers? And yeah, so it works with all of them minus the 610. That does require a different software called PT Create, and that's what allows it to have that unique cutting function. Can the labels that I've created with the old Primera 400 be adapted to current models? That depends on your software that you're using. We were shipping Bartender with the 400 for some time. If you have versions of that label created in Bartender, that would be compatible with these newer printers. However, if you were using the older Nice Label software, there would be unfortunately no way to bring those over. Generally, Nice Label and Bartender both are kind of programs. They're layout programs where you're linking to files anyway. So if you have the original graphic, you can simply import that new graphic into Bartender, and then that would allow you to print. Mark asks, do these run all day long overnight?
Yes, they can run all day. You can leave them to print. That's what's nice about the single cartridges. Put that in, you can set it to print, come back and find all your labels printed, not having to worry about whether or not the yellow ran out. The LX2000, a little different, but it can still work overnight.
Okay, and then what is the minimum bottle size for the applicator?
I can handle that one. The applicator can do containers that are as small as 0.6 inches in diameter. So basically the size of a tube of chapstick up to the size of a gallon can of paint or a gallon of vinegar, that as long as it can roll on the machine. So pretty wide range.
Is there a capability to print multiple of the same label at one time?
I wonder if she means 2 across?
Yeah, so I mean, you can print, you can have custom label stock so that you can have 2 up. You would just design your label in such a manner that you'd have 2 printing every time you print one. And you can also print, how many ever quantities that you want of that multiple up label. Mark asks, how would the printers save them time, and how about money?
Yes, that's a great question. So a normal process for getting labels when you don't have an in-house printer is to have your label designed, send a file to a print house, wait for them to print it, mail it to you, and come in the mail like a week later after they've printed it. All that just adds up to a lot. You have to plan ahead. If you have multiple SKUs and a little bit of change between each one of those labels, then each and every SKU needs that label printed. Also, a lot of label houses have really big minimums before the price gets reasonable. So you're ordering tens of thousands and all you need is a few hundred. If you skip all of that, get $1,000 or $1,200 printer, have it in-house, then you can print your labels right away, same day, turn your product around, even with a customized label, and not have to worry about any of that delay.
Okay, somebody asked that if it's compatible with Linux. Unfortunately, I don't think we have any drivers currently available for Linux, so it's mainly just Windows and Mac OS X if applicable. What types of files does Bartender accept? So Bartender will accept a wide variety of them. The main ones that they're going to accept are going to be PNGs, JPEGs, TIFFs. It will actually accept Adobe Illustrator files, Photoshop files, AFPs, ANI. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them that are even uncommon than those most common ones. And then let's see here. And then with printing a long time, which of these models would have a take-up roller? That's a great question.
We have an external rewinder that can work with any one of these printers. It doesn't need to be an attachment. It can just sit on the table right in front of the printer. A few labels print out. You wouldn't have it cut in between each one of the labels like we showed you here. It would just be a long strip of labels. You attach them to an empty core, and that rewinder is tension based. It'll slowly re-roll the labels back onto a core. The only thing I want to point out is that with the LX610, the one that cuts and prints, you can re-roll it, but it wouldn't work then with an applicator because the waste material is still on the labels, and that applicator is sensing for a gap, a difference in elevation between the printer and the liner. That's how it knows where the labels are. But when you're printing and cutting right into a continuous roll, there is no gap, it's smooth. So you wouldn't be able to apply labels from the LX610 that are re-rolled. Otherwise, all the other ones will work with a rewinder.
Okay, and then someone also asked what the warranty is on the printers and labelers.
That's a great question. Every Primera printer comes with a 1-year manufacturer's warranty, and each one you can, there's an extended warranty available for each one. The extended warranty replaces the 1-year manufacturer's warranty, gives you 2 years with hot swap. What hot swap means is that if your printer needs to come in for service, you can't be down, you can't be without your printer. You send this back to us and we will overnight you a replacement unit to use.
Okay. Is the applicator a device which can be purchased separately from the printer?
Yes.
And is there, James asks if there's a lamination application for the 2000.
No, we don't have any lamination applications. The main reason for that is because this inkjet printing technology prints onto inkjet receptive material. So it is actually being soaked into a coating on the label, especially a synthetic label, which makes it pretty water resistant. You could get some kind of chemical, put it on here, and you might get it to run, but it's not real easy to make that happen. If you want an absolute guarantee of no running, then there are label stickers you can order and put them on manually by hand. There's no applicator for it. You can have that over the top of your labels, but the vast majority, way more of our customers do not do that. They just use the synthetic material.
Someone asked if Primera is the only place they can buy the ink from.
It's got to be Primera ink, but we have lots of resellers around. You're not going to be able to walk into Best Buy or Staples and get this ink, but you can order from other vendors. Usually they're going to be mail order kind of places like we are.
All right. And then someone asked about potentially using it for ice cream labels. Do we know what the lowest temperature is for use on that?
Not off the top of my head.
That's something, it looks like Miguel asked that. And Miguel, we can talk to you offline. We can get that information to you. We can look up that. That's going to really be dependent upon the adhesive on the label itself, and what those specifications are, and those will differ between the different materials. So Well, we'll touch base offline and get that information to you. Okay, and what is someone asked the applicator cost again?
Sure, the AP 362 is $15.95. If you just are going to be applying a single label per container, then you can get the AP 360, which is $13.50.
Okay. And yep, they asked that the 610 is the only one with die cutting, and that is correct, yeah. Let's see if there's more over here. Okay, so they asked if you want to use the labeler, you would need to use the labels pre-cut. Is that part of your supply service?
Yes, to use the label applicator, the labels need to be pre-die cut. You can order those from us, whether they're a stock size or a custom size, you can order right from us, or you can use other kinds of labels. There are some restrictions, so I would recommend talking with a sales rep about what your particular labels are. Like some of the real stiff plasticky ones don't work so well. We can work together on which ones would work.